Hey everybody, it's Pam from Pouring Artists International, also known as Paint. Welcome to the channel, and today I'm going to be playing with some alcohol inks and making some circles. I'm going to try first on the Pixiss alcohol ink paper. This is totally new for me. The next one will also be for Nara, and I'm using Ranger inks. I have this paper, which is, I believe, 8 by 10, taped down to a piece of marble on a Lazy Susan. These are shot glasses and small glasses that were found at thrift stores and garage sales for just pennies. These long, thin ones have nice, heavy weighted bottoms, which is great to hold them in place. I'm using the alcohol blending solution from Ranger. I also have 91% alcohol in a fine tip bottle. I use both interchangeably. I also have some of the 91% in a fine mist spray bottle. And this is the new, I'm not even sure what they call it from Ranger, but it's like an air plunger, and it blows some nice air onto it so I don't have to get close to it with a straw. This I absolutely love. I found it at Books A Million, which is a very teeny tiny leaf blower, but it works beautifully. Here are the colors I'm going to throw down and play with today. We have Boysenberry from Ranger. They're all from Ranger. Have to have purple in it. Cobalt blue, which is a nice bright blue. I love this blue too. It's called Monsoon. It's kind of a grayish blue. Really beautiful. Dijon, which is kind of a gold brownish yellow. Absolutely love it. It's one of their new colors and it's absolutely fabulous. Butterscotch. That's always a go-to for a good yellow. And finally is Sunset Orange. No rhyme or reason to my colors. I'm also trying the Alloy, which is a silver. Absolutely beautiful. These alloys just float across the surface. They dance. They work a little differently than the metallic mixatives. These alloys I'm totally hooked on. So I'm dusting off the dog hair that of course gets on there from having 3 dogs. I'm laying down a layer of the blending solution here. And then I'm just gonna throw down the inks willy-nilly. You can see how bright and vibrant that purple and the blue. This is the Dijon, one of my absolute new favorites from their line. And of course, once that Dijon and butterscotch hits the blue, we're going to have green. I actually like this the way it is right now. The handy dandy leaf blower, just kind of spreading them out a little bit. Now I'm reactivating the inks because the alcohol blending solution dried up too quickly for me. And you can see the power that this little tiny leaf blower has. I think it was only like $12 or $13. I found it at Books A Million of all places, but you can also get it on Amazon. It's a wonderful tool to have. I got tired of spraying. My arthritis was hurting, so I just opened up the alcohol lid and just started pouring it on there. And look at how beautifully they just blend together and mix. Now, I've never used this Pixiss paper. It feels like Yupo. I wasn't sure of it at first because it seemed like once I put the alcohol ink color down, it stained it, which I know it'll stain Yupo as well, but it seemed to be quickly stained. However, once everything was said and done and it was all dry, I absolutely love this one. So what I'm doing is just getting a wet surface, and I'm starting to take the glasses and inverting them where it's still nice and juicy and wet, because I'm going to play around the glasses and try to capture and keep the ink underneath. There's other ways that you can do this as well. I need to perfect it, of course, but this was a fun way to do it. Now I'm coming back in with the leaf blower. I'm not pointing at anything there. I'm actually trying to fill in. There appeared to be some totally white bare spots on this paper, as if the inks were repelling around it. I should have technically cleaned the paper with some alcohol or blending solution first. But that's what I'm doing here, is actually picking up ink from other places and then just dropping it into those white spots, and that did the trick. I find that I start using my hands a lot rather than tools when I'm playing with the inks. But isn't that what art is about? Having fun, getting your hands dirty. I'm coming back around and blowing it as well from a distance and trying to help things dry. So now I have the alloy foundry, which is silver, and I'm going to be dropping that on. And what's going to happen is going to reactivate some of the inks that are under it. And then I'm going to put some of the blending solution on top of it. And I found a couple times that I've used this alloy in particular, when it hits the yellow that I've used, or the Dijon, it's making a very nice gold effect. So I'm just squirting around some of the blending solution, as you can see. And once I blow it, it'll start dancing around the surface rather than just staying there. Look at that. Look at how it just beautifully dances around. I could watch that all day. It's very soothing. You can see when it's not moving so much in some areas, it's obviously drying. You can either leave it that way or add some more alcohol or blending solution to keep moving the colors around. Now, I'm tipping the edge of this shot glass up, debating whether I should throw a little alcohol under there, but it seems like it was still fairly wet. So I'm just kind of actually tipping it up just a little bit to get a little air under there, because I want it to dry in the circular shape that the glass is giving it. I know you can't see that because my hand is in the way. And look at that beautiful ring and the colors that were underneath it. Just tip it up just a little bit, just to get some airflow in there. And when you're working with the rings, you want the air to blow into the ring, because if you blow inside the ring out, you're going to lose your circle or your bubble. I just love that. I could do that all day. I was having issues with not checking my shot glasses well enough. There was apparently some dog hair in there. Look at those beautiful colors just blending together. And I know it looks like a mess, especially with the tape on, because of all the ink that has run over onto the tape. Looks much more beautiful once the tape has been removed. Now what I have here is a wide bowl and another shot glass or another drinking glass, and I make sure that it fits to where it hits the bottom. I'm taking some of the 91% alcohol. You could also do blending solution, and I'm just pouring it into that candy dish, because what I essentially want to do is dip the shot glass into it so that we get alcohol on the ring of the glass, or the rim of the glass. And I should have offloaded it onto a paper towel, or at least knocked some of it off, because there's some rings that it will make that were really wide. But it is what it is. It's art. And you can actually see that ring starting to form there. I'm dipping it back into the alcohol. And I do this process throughout. Some end up being wider than others. And it depends on how long you keep that on there. That more of the alcohol is going to run down from the glass, which you can see right there. Isn't that a beautiful effect? Now I'm just speeding this up. I'm essentially using the shot glass as a stamp. You can see right now at the bottom right how wide that one got. I'm not going to mess with it. It is what it is. Don't forget to come off the edges on some of them. Makes it a little bit more organic. Now I have the fine mister, and I'm going to do it up from a distance and let it fall onto it, and that makes nice, fine, tiny little dots. If I do want a little bit bigger of dots, then I do get a little bit closer. And I'm waving my hand because I want it to quickly dry. Sometimes it'll take a few extra seconds to dry if I don't do that, which means my dots, my mist, is going to expand a little bit more and be bigger than I want it to be. I'm telling you, that little leaf blower is a great investment with alcohol inks. Now here's those little dental picks that I just got, so this is really the first time I've been using it. And I'm dipping again into the alcohol just to make some dots around a couple of the rings or bubbles. Now in some areas, like where I'm dotting right now, the ink was thick. The tide line had several layers of ink on it. Although I can see where some of the dots are that I just placed, I go over them again so that the alcohol will break through all of that ink. There we go. It just wasn't showing fast enough for me because I was impatient. coming back again here in just a second to reinforce those original dots. Trying to break through those many layers of the alcohol ink. You can see I'm kind of digging in there just a little bit. Add a few more here and there just to break up some of that dark area. Coming back in with another spritz again. And of course more dog hair. It's rough having 3 dogs. Sometimes I can certainly overdo things. I'm coming back again and just stamping with the glasses just to bring them out a little more detail. I'm picking up some of the color, the alcohol inks that have run off onto the tape, just to bring it into some other areas that might be bare using that dental pick. Checking for more blank spots. I'll bring you in closer here. You can see the fine mist. You can see the dots and the rings. And look at the angle. You can see that foundry, that alloy color, and how beautiful it is. You have to look at it from different angles. Difficult to see straight on. Where I have these extra dark areas, I'm going to actually come in with a textured paper towel and get that wet with some 91% alcohol. And then I'm just going to bunch it up because I want to have wrinkles in it and just pat it on there. It'll remove some of the color, and if I'm lucky enough, it'll also give me a little bit of texture, which just, again, adds to the whole art piece. Oh, look at that sheen. That's silver. Here's a close-up. You see all those imprints, the circles. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to come back and maybe highlight them with a Posca paint pen or leave as is. There's those dots with the dental pick. Sometimes I can overdo it with the Posca because I'm not sure what I want to highlight. So I may just leave it like that and actually come back and just embellish with some Swarovski crystals. All right, we're going to try next, same colors with the Napa paper. So let me get things cleaned up and set back up. Okay, I'm back, everybody. Now we're going to try the same exact thing with Nara paper. This is a 12 by 12 sheet on the same ceramic 12 by 12 tile. It's a synthetic art paper, also feels just like Yupo paper. Here I am laying down the blending solution, getting the whole area wet, and throwing my colors back down, the exact same palette. spraying it to get it nice and wet, and then moving it around. Look at those vibrant colors. Sorry if you hear a storm in the background. First day of June in Florida, first day of hurricane season. And now we've got some heavy rains going through. I love it just the way it is right now. But again, I tend to go one step further. It actually started looking like a flower there in the center. I should have kept going with that. Now I'm going to lay a little bit of ink down. And some alcohol, 91%, with the fine tip dropper. And then I'm going to have my cup ready, my glass, and just put it on top of it. I'm going to have more cups on this one. I think I overdid it a bit, but everything is just an experiment. Okay, I'm adding a little bit more of the blue. I feel like I lost a lot of it. Coming in with some more of the yellow because I want to have some more green. And then I'm spritzing it to get it juicy. I want to add the foundry back to it, which is the silver alloy. I think I'm going to have to stock up on that one. And I'm getting it real juicy so that I can flow it around and blend it. You have to be careful sometimes with the blowing of the air, and your glass is essentially on top of a moisture, a liquid. It could tend to float on you. That's why the thin shot glasses with the heavy bottom, wonderful. This one had a lot of areas where I overdid it with some of the alcohol and made it a bit dark. I went in off camera and I just kind of lifted it just a little bit by using the paper towel again and one of the Fantastics, which was a great little tool to use as well. And you can see how that moved. Now I'm going to start lifting the cups, just introducing some air underneath, little at a time. Now I love how that turned out with the shading of it. And of course I don't leave well enough alone because I had some issues with the dog hair. I did not watch one of the cups I pulled from the drawer and see that there was some dog hair on it before I flipped it over. So because of that, there was several pieces of dog hair I had to fish out of there with my fingers, and that left some spots behind in the ring. So I just went and kind of added ink with my fingers to all of the rings. In hindsight, I wouldn't have done that, but it still doesn't look that bad. And I'll either frame it to see how it looks, the whole piece, or I'm going to cut it up into pieces and use it for other substrates or other projects. Nothing gets thrown away with me. Well, that rain is really coming down today. I was trying to add another color in there because it was just too brown. And you have to be careful because that's what you get when you mix purple and yellow. You get browns. That's a pretty one. I wish I would have kept it that way. That's the one I believe I had issues with. You can see there, the line, there you go. It's a big chunk of hair. So then I started tapping it. Listen to that thunder roll. And I couldn't leave one just like that, so I end up tapping them all. Which still looks good. Don't get me wrong, I still love my pieces. You can see I'm picking up the ink from the areas that are really heavy with tide lines. And then I decide to do this technique with each of the bubbles. It gives it a little bit more texture. And what I'm trying to do also is introduce color from one bubble into another one. It's always good to mix. Actually, watching it here as I narrate, it looks pretty good. I decided to put the cups back on because I felt like I was starting to lose the circles. And it was getting too harsh. I wanted to try and blend it a little bit more. Now I'm coming back in and spraying it with the alcohol and blending it around a little bit more. Now, because I put the cups down on already dry circles, I don't have to worry too much about it. I'm just blowing off around the edges because underneath the cup was already dry. There's that shiny alloy. What am I thinking? Of course, I have to add something else. And again, I'm waving it so that it quickly dries. That's a handy tool from Ranger. They just came out with it this year. Gives a nice concentrated blow. Depends on how hard you squeeze it. The ridges on there, and it has a flat bottom, is so that it doesn't roll off your table. Now I'm going to come back in like I did with the first one and use the shot glass as a stamping tool. I'll speed through this. You can see over on the left the ring that I put in there, that it's very thick. I didn't wipe off enough. What happens is the alcohol goes to the inside of the cup, so gravity pulls it right back down quickly. I do like both papers. This is, again, the Nara paper, and the first one was the Pixiss. I do like them. They're very similar to the Yupo, so I'm very happy with the purchase. Just trying to dry it rather than move it. I do have some very dark tide lines, but I'll live with it. The look of this will totally change once it gets put into a frame, with some matting around it. And again, I might come back with some Swarovski crystals and add them to it. I add the crystals not only because it's bling and it looks beautiful, but it also helps when you frame your piece to keep the glass off of it. You want to be certain that you don't have glass touching your ink. It'll just become a mess. And if you ever try to take it out of the frame, it's going to be stuck to the glass. So you want to have something as a barrier in between your piece and the frame glass. So using crystals, that's a three-dimensional item. It actually lifts the glass off of the surface. Here you can see the variety of textures, the rings, the fine spatter, all those dots I created inside the circles with my fingers. It actually looks better than I thought with the close-up. Again, I don't know if I'll keep this one. I might have to do a little bit more embellishment to it. All right. Thanks for watching.